Welcome to Two Deep Hokies Under the Influence, a Sons of Saturday podcast brought to you by Jack and Coke. I'm your host, Pete B. I've got Sam Jesse here, and we've actually got a special guest tonight because it's been a big week, and it's been a big week for this gentleman individual. Kolby Crawford from VT Scoop and 247 has joined us. How you doing, Kolby?
Doing well. Appreciate you guys having me on. It's definitely been a busy week, but it's good. And P, I hear you're catching some flack for the Franklin takes, and
Kolby, who knows how much you actually see, because I know you're in school, you have responsibilities for 247, but yeah, there's been some takes over the weeks, over the many weeks we've been breaking down James Franklin. But I know I'm on the boards too on 247. Like there are people, there were some dissenting opinions here and there, but we are all ecstatic this week. Let me tell you what. Yeah. And none of the stuff that's happened already is stuff that I questioned James Franklin on. I mean,
the recruiting ability. Everything. Yeah.
Recruiting, donor, like rallying the fan base.
The right things. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're pumped about all that. We're actually going to talk about UVA later. We're not going to do that with Kolby.
Shit, dude, I totally forgot we had to talk about that game. I'm not going to lie.
We've got voicemails. We'll do all that stuff after we let Kolby get back to prepping for his finals and everything else. But Sam, why don't you kick us off with a cheers, man?
Oh, God. I mean, so I will hand up. My original cheers was going to be incredibly doom and gloom, like biblically doom and gloom. But as signing day went on and as this week goes on, we're actually recording this Thursday night. We usually do Wednesday nights. We're recording this Thursday night. Man, I'm just so impressed and excited for the talent that's being brought into this program. Best signing class since like 2013, I think, is the one being floated around. But people are even talking about early 2000s, when you had Kevin Jones and all those guys, #1 recruit in the country. So huge signing day for the Hokies. Transfer portal going to fire up here in a few weeks, fellas. Mm-hmm. Cheers,
fellas.
Let's see if I get.
If you are watching us on YouTube, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you haven't already, and make sure to check out Kolby's Corner on YouTube as well. That's been blowing up as of late, my young man.
Yeah, it's been cool, man. It's been busy. It's been crazy, but it's been a ton of fun getting that going. So what a trip, trying to make the most of it.
Yeah. Well, this is the time. Strike while the iron's hot, man. The recruiting news, our listeners absolutely love it. And I just have a couple news and notes, housekeeping, and then we're going to get to National Signing Day. BRM and I did a quick show yesterday on signing day, like kind of as things were still unfolding around lunchtime. We put that out yesterday. Both pods have that, and it's on YouTube. Ed and I recorded Hokie Hoops last night. That is now in your feeds on the Sons of Saturday side, and it's also on YouTube. Pick'em leaders. It is a two-man race. Jerry Doesn't Know Balls in first with 87 wins. Zach Osman with 85. There's only 9 games left to pick. It's not even a full roster of games because there's only 9 games happening in college football this week. Yeah, Zach is very close to winning this Roback prize pack we have for him. So Deep Fried Hokie is a distant third, and I am in fourth, tied with 3 other people. So it's really just down to those 2 guys. So good luck, fellas, this weekend. We'll see what you do. National Signing Day was yesterday, and I'm calling it National Signing Day because that's what the Virginia Tech people were kind of marketing as, but it is really just the first day of early signing period, right, Kolby?
Yeah, but like it's kind of morphed into that. And if you really want to go into it, the SEO for all the recruiting for like sites and everything, this is effectively signing day. Mm-hmm. If most schools, and I know Calvin Russell, like just coming in right now, just signed with Syracuse, and Lamar Brown might be halting it a little bit, and there's going to be a little bit of snags, but most of the time, if you put these coaches on a wire, you're going to want everyone who's committed verbally to you to sign yesterday or whatever that first day of now the early period is. And I think eventually we'll come to a consensus where there's not this early and late. And if it is going to be an early, it's going to be an early before the season early, and then have your actual one later.
Right.
So I think that's what it will have to come to. And, everyone just wants to throw the stuff at the calendar and say, oh, the calendar's fault. And then not really. And that's kind of what I'm doing right now, because I'm like, oh, it's the calendar's fault, and then not really refuting it.
I mean, you can't change fall or Christmas. Like, that's just the way things are.
Exactly. And, they're going to play games on Saturday in the fall. But I also don't think the right time to do it is right before conference championship. Whatever. The coaches voted for that. But yeah, I mean, the majority of college football classes, obviously around the country, are going to be wrapped up by that first day, definitely by the Friday with different ceremonies and such. Obviously for the purpose of early enrolling and just getting those names committed in the class so you're not waiting till February. Now, that's not to say a couple late senior evals might pop up in February if someone gets hurt. Obviously, with the transfer portal moving the way that it has now, you don't have that spring window. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, like you said, technically the first day of early signing period, but really just kind of branded as not even national signing. It's just been signing day.
And big picture stuff. USC with the number 1 class.
Yeah.
I think Oregon was number 2, right? So 2 of the former Pac-12 schools. And then I also heard that 21 different schools got a 5-star, which is by far the most ever.
Insane. Going back to the USC thing, first time in 18 years, an SEC school hasn't had the number 1 recruiting class.
Wow.
18 years. I mean, now obviously
the sport's changed a lot, man.
No, it has, but like it's kind of different when you say that because it is USC.
It is USC.
This is still USC that's won multiple national titles in a row. So it's not like I know Vanderbilt got a 5-star. It's not like Houston also has a 5-star quarterback. It's not like a brand like that coming out of nowhere, but it is still pretty impressive to see, like you said, 21 of 32. Syracuse has a 5-star. Houston, Vanderbilt, these teams, it's really spread out. Obviously, Georgia Tech got the 5-star offensive lineman a year ago. So it is changing a ton. I know people, and like I said, I have my own gripes with some of the rankings, but you do have to sort of let bygones be bygones. There is frustration on different evals. Overall, rankings have shown to play out and be like an effective metric of how talented your team is going to be just on the 1,000-foot view. Now,
yes,
there's different individual evals, but as a ranking system, I think they are pretty good, and they're only getting better, I think.
I thought it was very interesting that James Franklin in his press conference mentioned the rankings and how many spots we went up. That is something that I don't think would have happened 5-6 years ago. Like it just wasn't, it was almost like taboo to talk about the ranking system because the coaches' evals were all that mattered. It's like, it's an advertisement, for the university. We moved up 100 spots, and it was actually 101 because let's get into the numbers of our class at Virginia Tech. According to the 247 composite, Virginia Tech has the number 23 recruiting class. We are just behind South Carolina, who I think they're the ones that moved ahead of us today because we were 22.
Yeah, I was about to say,
and then we dropped to 23 today for the 2026 class. 2 weeks ago, we were at 124. So that is where that 101 number comes from that James Franklin was mentioning. 5th in the ACC behind Clemson, 8 4-stars, the most since the 2019 class when we also had 8. And isn't that the most we've ever had in the modern era?
Kolby? I believe so. That's the most ever. No, because they had 9, right? That was the most ever.
Well, we had 8 in 2019. I don't think, unless we're going back.
Yeah, no. Well, so the 24/7 Sports era started 2010, and I don't think so. I know the 2012 and 2013 class was the one that they're benchmarking as. That was 21st composite. So yesterday was 22, so it was just behind those 2.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, but in terms of that, yeah,
in that era, and like I said, before that, the ranking system was like Scout, and then
you had Rivals,
local newspapers and different there wasn't that true composite, I guess. So
and 247 has had tried to retroactively kind of do the composite, and it's just you're never going to get it quite right. But in terms of
your head spin a little
what we know from 2010 on, like we had that really good class in 24. It was a small class, but the average rating per recruit was 8.14, and that was our best ever. This is 8.34, the new best ever in terms of average recruit ranking. 23 total commits. Do you think that this is our best recruiting class of like the modern recruiting era?
I mean, when you think about, and I obviously, he touched on all the points that are going to make it sound good, but really 2 years of work done in 2 weeks. I think that is really, really impressive. And also when you look at being such short notice, you're having to take pretty much as you can just to come, get in the boat. And to do that and also get a quarterback, get a running back, get a wide receiver, get 7 offensive linemen, get 2 defensive linemen, an edge rusher, a linebacker, a corner, a safety. You really didn't miss many gaps when you're looking at it on a big board, and you were just taking kind of the quote unquote scraps in 2 weeks. So
I think for me, that's maybe the most impressive thing is it's not just like he didn't load up on one position group. He didn't load up on here's all the offensive linemen we got. It was a bunch of guys from a bunch of different areas. And also not only were they highly rated guys, but they're guys who they have the frame of big D1 players. I mean, all of these linemen are absolutely massive. Messiah Mickens looks like a D1 running back, right? And so for me, that's the step up where we saw Brent Pry start to bring in some guys who looked like that a little bit here, but it wasn't to the level of what we've seen in this recruiting class so far. And for me, that's maybe even more promising than the star rankings, because on the aggregate, the star ranking system is very, very good. But on the individual, you can see it kind of fluctuate. If you can throw out a lineman that's 6'6", 320, your floor is pretty darn high. And for so long, I think Virginia Tech, especially on the line of scrimmage, we've seen it this year for sure, the floor is pretty low. Yeah. And I think, that's one immediate impact that this class is going to have. I don't know how many of these guys are, catching passes and scoring touchdowns next year, but I do know the floor is a lot higher with this roster after signing day.
Yeah. And Sam, that's something I want to definitely ask Kolby about. I first want to ask you just on how the class came together, the whirlwind of James Franklin getting to Blacksburg, gathering this makeshift staff of 8 or so people and connecting with an amazing amount of recruits in a short period of time to grab 20 plus commits in just under 2 weeks. What were your just thoughts on how this all went down? You're kind of seeing it with the play-by-play. Like, how amazing was it to watch?
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty impressive, but like I said, a lot of this groundwork was laid way, way in advance. But I mean, still, by the time he got announced, and when we covered it, we were saying that Miami weekend was always circled. That was, and he came out, and I think it was on the interview on this net, like on y'all's YouTube channel with Billy Ray, when he went on with Jay Pearson and said he always kind of had that date of Monday the 17th, right? And obviously, once he got into discussions with Virginia Tech, what game was that Saturday?
Yeah. And to have a home game left to pull
exactly.
Off
Look at Miami. They had to go on the road to Tech and then go on the road to Pittsburgh. So a lot of those guys came up unofficially that first weekend and then officially the next, or however, it worked out. So because it is kind of rare to be in season in the fall and host an official visit weekend like they did. I know you guys are going to have to talk about UVA. I'm glad I'm hopping off. But like that UVA weekend, they're here in Blacksburg. It's Thanksgiving break. No one's here. And it's different because it's not over the summer. So there's really no other activities you can go out and do.
Yeah. So it was hilarious to have a game in Charlottesville and to be hosting that event in Blacksburg.
I think it goes to me to show like how I'm never going to call the result of the Virginia Tech-Virginia game irrelevant, but like that wasn't on top of James Franklin's mind last Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that is kind of very telling of not one, like where this program is at, and two, where college football is kind of at, where you can't dwell on failures very long because you can make it up in the offseason very, very quickly.
Yeah, I bet you South Carolina's feeling better about their crappy season today because I don't know how Shane was able to secure such a good class after what was a disaster season, but he's a heck of a recruiter. And
I mean, dude, we just went 3-8. We just hired a coach who was publicly humiliated and fired. And look at this class.
It's really crazy. So what was it, Kolby? It was 4 commits Monday, 4 on Tuesday, 4 on Wednesday, something like that.
Sounds right. I think Tuesday was 3. I'm not sure.
Tuesday it was Fat Rat, Harley,
T-Ron,
all the names, all the good names came in on Tuesday.
Like a 50s Switchblade gang from Greece or something.
And
Fat Rat
247
Harley, Purgatory,
Fat Rat Brown. Yeah, 247. Once they changed the thing that said they signed, they got rid of the commitment dates, and so I couldn't I couldn't figure it out exactly, but it was something like that. I'm pretty sure it was 4 on Monday, 4 yesterday, and something like that on Tuesday. But when you look at the class in totality, we talked about a little bit about the positions. What stands out to you the most about who came in this class?
what stands out the most is the offensive line. And spinning back to what you said about, I guess, body typing, when you talk about getting the frame right, I mean, I wanted to touch on it when you brought up the Miami game, but just standing on the sideline for that game, you can look at Miami's athletes on the other side and Virginia Tech's athletes, and this is not to take away from anyone. Like, you have Division I players on both sides of the ball, but like I was double checking his name, Markel Bell, and Maui Goa, two of those guys on the offensive line, but specifically Markel Bell, 6'9", 345.
Oh yeah, that's the 6'9"
position.
guy, yeah.
I mean, when you look at him, and I'm not to say like Marlon Bright is still 6'7", so like that's 2 inches off or whatever, but you got in a ton of like Thomas Wilder, he's 6'6.5". These guys have a different level of frame. When you look at the last 2 recruiting classes on the offensive line, where you brought in 5 guys over 2 cycles, you just brought in 7 in 1, and they're also more quality athletes. Like Izuka was a wrestler, he did track, can move on the inside. He obviously had the pick 6 in his state championship game or state championship semifinal that people saw. I think being able to flip that room where you don't have so many 6'5", 300-pound guys on campus walking around. So to get those guys through the door, because that's a position you really need to develop through the high school ranks. You don't want to be living and dying on the offensive line in the portal, because it's not very sustainable. So I think that was an incredible get to get those guys. Obviously flip a Maddox Cochran late, Benedictine, who obviously when you look at the 2027 rankings has more prospects. And then that's the same with
14 power offers for Cochran, I believe.
Yeah, I mean,
those are just the ones that are listed too. Like that's not always fully accurate. So like that's really impressive for a 3-star kid, and so many tackles, which we've talked about nearly the size. Yeah, nearly all of them except for one, and we lost Hamilton, but like we replaced him not soon thereafter. But just Bright, Wilder, and Cochran and Lubintis, like he's the small guy, and he's huge. So
he's gonna have to lose some weight. Terrell Simpson is probably the biggest out of them all. I mean,
and Simpson's he's been in the boat for a while. He was one of the few Pride guys.
He flipped from Rutgers on the last official visit weekend, I think June 23rd. I mean, he's coming off an injury. I think he's probably close to 350 pounds right now. I mean, people want to comp him to when Chaplin came in. I mean, I saw him at UA Charlotte last year. I mean, he's every bit of probably close to 6'7", and he's going to have to shed some of that weight. But it's not an issue of these guys having to put on that weight, where you saw with different guys in the past where it's like, they're weighing 295, and like Virginia Tech's going to have quite a bit of beef along that offensive line if you keep some of these guys in the program.
It's amazing that like these 3-stars like Lama, Lubintis, Witherington, like these guys would be sensational gets for us if they were like near the top of our class, like they normally would be.
Look at the offer sheets. Like Lamont, like that's a guy from Patriot High School that Sean Quinn did an incredible job recruiting. But I mean, just in all actuality, I know it's tough to hear, but like the stature and standing of Virginia Tech 2 weeks ago is a lot different than it is now. And like, well, I'm going to be running a piece tomorrow that is going to echo a ton of this from even recruits in the 27, 28, and 29 class. It just is what it is. And like, you can bring in someone that absolutely galvanizes a brand. And that's not to dismiss or devalue Virginia Tech for the last couple of years, but it's just the way it was perceived. And, perception is reality when these are the recruits that are going to be playing for you, and that's how they feel about it. You really do kind of have to change it. When you talk to a lot of these guys now, they don't have a memory of Virginia Tech being competitive, and Virginia Tech can't get that in with them. Terry Wiggins yesterday had an incredible interview, I thought, on the CBS Sports YouTube channel.
Yeah, it was good.
He pretty much said, for one of the hosts, it was Loy or Elliot, I forget, maybe Ivan said, well, I know Virginia Tech was involved in the process. And he was like, well, actually Virginia Tech wasn't involved in the process, but maybe if I actually like got on campus, I definitely would have given him a lot more thought. This place is like really cool, but like you have to get your foot in the door, and James Franklin automatically does that.
Yeah.
And I think so many Tech coaches kind of across sports. Like I hear this with basketball, baseball, and football.
Yeah.
Is once you get the guys on campus, Virginia Tech coaches feel like they do have a bit of a leg up.
It sells itself.
If you get somebody on a fall game day or on a nice spring day, or like if you can get them into Blacksburg, you have a shot. But the issue, like you said, Colby, over the last few years has been just getting these guys to Blacksburg and having it be a good experience.
Yeah.
It's been really difficult for the football program over the past few years.
One that really stands out in that regard that you just brought up, Savion Hyder, 5-star athlete out of Louisa.
Dude,
yesterday,
insane.
People want to look at him, and as he's coming down, they're like, oh, he hasn't signed. Is he going to flip? And he eventually did sign today. I think he's one where it's very staunch. He came for the Rutgers game last year and never came back. And pretty much that was kind of it. Now, that's not to say there were a lot of hurdles, and especially the regime at that time, that was a bridge that was never going to get crossed. But it is still to say, maybe if you win that game convincingly, it can change some things, and that bad taste doesn't get left in your mouth.
Yeah. That's
oddly, the second 5-star running back from the state of Virginia to commit to Michigan. They had a kid when I was in high school from Hermitage who ended up being a dud.
And then the other 5-star running back was Travion Henderson, but he went to Ohio State.
Yeah.
And Michigan also got another kid from Chesapeake, right? They got a kid from Austin.
Travis Johnson.
That's the one we were thinking that maybe we had a shot with yesterday afternoon.
Took a big swing. Left. Travis, and he's a very dynamic athlete. Someone who's playing on, I don't even know if it's arguable. 6A, you can say more versus them the last couple of years, but at the 6A level, Oscar Smith, pound for pound, is probably the best program in Virginia. Probably going to go on to win the state championship again this year. He is every bit of a top 247 receiver. And Virginia Tech, they went out there and they swung. And, a lot of the times Virginia Tech was not going to be the one leaving the most money on the table. They surpassed Michigan's offer yesterday and made it a very, very, very hard decision.
Wow.
They're late. So they were trying to make a big statement and say, the state, really trying to put walls up. Even still, it's a big warning shot to a lot of different programs saying, okay, this is not the Virginia Tech of old. And I know it's a new age, but
there was a lot of that going around social media, on the sites, the articles that came out later in the day, like the moves that Virginia Tech made on signing day or this week. And I had this tweet from Brian Dunn of 247. I've been involved in recruiting for more than 2 decades, covered at least 25 signing days, never seen anything like what James Franklin is doing at Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
And Billy read that yesterday, and I put it on the screen now because it kind of sums up what we were seeing from the people across the country regarding the surge, because we'll talk about the Penn State piece of this later, but to get a celebrity coach in the door early, it could have been earlier, but it was still early enough to have that home game and have another game. And to his previous school also not having plans in place, it kind of came together perfectly to maybe put together the best 2-week run that any coach has had. At least, maybe this happened way back when, who knows? But I was trying, maybe the Mario Cristobal thing I mentioned to Billy, or there's another big name coach that went somewhere and pulled a bunch of guys over.
Comparable. For the circumstances, I don't think there is.
I saw somebody compare it to when Sark took the Texas job. And they started pulling the Ferraris and stuff on the field, man. That was great.
But when did Sark take that job? He left Bama after the national championship, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's unprecedented, doesn't really do it justice. Mm-hmm. I think another thing too is not only does it set up for this recruiting class, but what does it do for the next one? Who are the guys that we're now having conversations with for the 27 class that we weren't having conversations with
or have already had conversations with? We were a step ahead there too. And so
these are teenage kids. They're going to forget, they don't even remember what they had for breakfast yesterday morning. All right. So you have actually a lot of time between this signing day and next signing day. And I think what also is really good for Virginia Tech is if you look at kind of how the schedule lines up for next year, VMI, it looks like is going to stay on the schedule to open it. You have ODU at home in September as well. You could have at least 2 of your first 3 weekends of the season home games that are probably going to be during the day as well. You could see another.
What about that first game,
ramp.
Sam? That's
Isn't that
not
VMI?
Well, okay. The Maryland game is what I'm referring to. Maryland is pretty close, and in a recruiting hotbed, that could be a huge recruiting weekend on the road.
But You don't take people you like to College Park, Maryland.
Well,
man.
it's true. I mean, I'll be there, but that's
I'll do that. Hey, I'll make the train ride down, but it's only because I love you.
Yeah, you'll be there too. I know you will. All right, so
I mean, it's the same thing though when you talk about that battle, like that Loxley and Franklin, they butt heads a lot. Virginia Tech and Maryland, you're going to butt heads a lot on the road, like just being area going a lot across a lot of the same guys. Like West Virginia can still negatively recruit against Virginia Tech because guess what trophy they have sitting in their case right now. Now, I mean, there's like everything matters. I mean, it matters to varying degrees for different recruits, and we're in an age where compensation is also a very heavy key to that. So there's a lot of factors, but it definitely doesn't hurt to make a visible win on the football field and off the field.
Yeah.
Speaking of West Virginia, do we want to talk about is it Sieg? Matt Sieg? Is that how it's pronounced? Sieg? Yeah. So he is a player who Virginia Tech was making a late push for, safety, 4-star. A lot of people really high on him. West Virginia comes out of the clouds and lands this guy. Now, I think the rumor is West Virginia swung and missed on a few guys. They had some NIL budget left over. They said, hey, do you want the rest of the pot? And he said, yes, sir. I can buy a whole pepperoni rolls in Morgantown with that. Is that kind of what we're hearing from your side as well?
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good synopsis of it. Now, I mean, there's moving parts down the stretch. His hometown is roughly 45 minutes to an hour from Morgantown, so that was a factor, but he hadn't visited West Virginia in over 2 years. Coming down the stretch, they really weren't a player. He was committed to Penn State, plays in the WPIL up there, a smaller league, but I mean, he broke Tyler Boyd's record for yards. Like he's a very dynamic athlete. Down the stretch, it was Notre Dame, Indiana, Pittsburgh that a lot of people slept on until the end, and Virginia Tech, and obviously Penn State. But once Franklin left, Penn State sort of muddied the waters a little bit. Visited Notre Dame, I believe, Wednesday of the Miami game weekend because he unofficially visited that weekend. He's the only unofficial visitor – the only official visitor that weekend to not commit to Virginia Tech. Actually –
and why would you think that was? Like, why did he let it go till the last? Did he know that this could be coming from a West Virginia, or was he trying to get his money up at Tech? Like, do you?
I mean, we were under the pretense that he was almost definitely going to sign with Virginia Tech on signing day, and then conversations drummed up with West Virginia late Tuesday evening, and it's You have to make the best decision you can.
And he's a safety, right?
Yeah.
So
safety.
You're choosing. I don't know. I don't know how as a defensive player, when you're leading up to this and you're going to choose Rich Rod over Virginia Tech. I'm not quite sure because look at all the DBs we put in the league. I know it's not the same coach, but that stuff, some of those identities still kind of keep going regardless of the coach. So that is disappointing, but we had plenty of other good guys to talk about.
I mean, dude, it's this day and age.
Yeah.
These guys are all hitting the portal, man, at some point.
That's true.
And
that's true.
Virginia Tech is now Virginia Tech is going to be constantly recruiting these guys in one way or another.
Yeah.
And just like other schools are going to be recruiting our guys one way or the other. Like it goes both ways. We try to drop a bag on, the kid from Oscar Smith. West Virginia drops a bag on Matt Sieg.
Yeah.
That's how the game goes.
And we got a lot of guys, and that's when I want to go. I want to move to other positions because we got some other stuff we want to get to. So the most recruits at one position other than offensive line, Kolby, was linebacker, because on the official graphic that Virginia Tech put out, they had John Patrick Oates as a linebacker, and I guess Harley's a linebacker, Lama, and obviously Terry Wiggins. So that's 4, and then 3 more defensive linemen. So the defensive front 7, they had a really nice day, and I'm pumped about the linebacking thing. I mean, me and Sam have gone over it ad nauseum for 2 years of why we can't get solid linebacker play. We've tried different coaches. We've tried a new defensive coordinator, and it was okay this year. Like Caleb Spencer kind of helped solidify some of that this year, but this was really cool. What can you tell me about the linebackers?
Yeah, so one thing, Hurley's probably going to play edge, like that defensive end position. He'll probably play.
I'm already wrong.
No, I'm not really. But so JP Oates, really big time flip, and this is someone who flipped from JMU 7:30 yesterday in the morning. Might be having him on the show here sometime soon. Obviously goes to a really good program up there at LaSalle College in Pennsylvania, a great program to have inroads at. And obviously Franklin obviously knows the coach well there. He only just started playing linebacker this year. And I mean, his senior film, and like I think I said this on another show, I'm not some like crazy film junkie, but I dabble from here to there. And if you cut that on, he was going to get looks down the stretch from multiple programs because it's very impressive, him making the switch from tight end to linebacker. Moves really well, fluid athlete. Going to have to pack some weight on like a lot of these guys, but a really nice fit. Now, probably the prize of the class, if you want to talk about just pure athlete, his measurables are insane. Terry Wiggins, that's why you get rated that high. Like he's
number 189 nationally. He's our highest recruit.
Yeah, Terry Wiggins, like he won't be because I had Doug Bowman on last night and he was talking about like, is he the best since Dax? But they're different. He's definitely going to project as an outside linebacker. Obviously, he's going to add weight on, but he's not really a guy who's going to move inside. He's going to be an outside linebacker. He's rangy, man, can cover.
He's very different than Dax. I know the comp is the rating, right?
Well, and it was just looking at linebacker tag, but the LB can be super different in what scheme you're running, obviously. So it's like I said, that's why when you see some of those metrics that come out on Twitter or however they're posted, it's like obviously Dax Alfield is a way different player than even Gabe Williams. Like that's kind of would you'd be comparing like an outside guy. But anyways, I think he's in all his interviews he's a stand-up awesome guy. And then I think he ran a 4.5 at the Penn State camp. High vert, he's just like, that's why you get ranked high. You're betting on measurables, and he's got measurables. Really good high school player, playing both ways. And then lastly, I think someone where how can you get buried in the class when I know like you're going to have the James Franklin effect glasses on, and now it's like, okay, if you're an 88 or below, like whatever. Matthew Lamont, like he only started playing football a couple years ago. And when this is a guy who's going to play inside, and he lays the wood. Like he is not afraid of contact. He is a run defender.
He's the one from Nokesville with I think it was 17 power offers.
Yeah, that sounds right. Like I said, Virginia Tech, and he was one. Obviously, some of these guys, I had no relationship with, so it was a lot tougher here down the stretch because a Cochran or a Lamont, they've been here, Virginia guys. So catching back up with him on the unofficial visit weekend at Miami, it was like, I was just talking with him. He's like, yeah, dude, like it's different. Like you can tell there's a different vibe there, but everything's familiar for me. I'm showing all my other guys from Penn State around because I've been here multiple times. So he was familiar with it, but his frame, the weight he's already packed on, and when you cut on his high school film, like I think that's the first thing that stands out is he is a line like Noah Chambers last year. When you cut it on, like, wow, this guy is not afraid of contact.
He's ready to play right away. 6'3", 220. He's got the frame.
He's going to early enroll too. And like Noah Chambers wasn't even able to early enroll. And so this guy,
that's exciting.
They're different players, but still to get like a linebacker like that in the fold early.
What I wanted to say next is that sounds like a guy who could have an impact early. What are some other guys on this list capable of making an impact early?
That's a great question. And a lot of that is going to be obviously what's going to happen in the portal. And then, you project that as what positions can get on the field early. I think Polydor in Cleveland at corner, however that shakes out. I know Clark's going to be coming back off an injury. You're going to be working through some things. The cornerback and wide receiver position is going to be a whole heck of a lot easier to get on the field as opposed to D-line or offensive line. One guy in those trenches that I think could play early, T-Ron Richardson. His frame, I think that is someone who I know it sounds like he's planning to early enroll. So, I said, I'll pound my fist on the table saying overall rankings, they really, they'll miss here and there, but overall it's a pretty good baseline of where you're at. I think the 87 grade on T-Ron Richardson is a bit questionable. Obviously flipping him from Oklahoma, some of the other offers and suitors he had coming at him down the stretch. His frame, track and field athlete, but moves.
I saw he has the shot put ball in his picture, right?
That's him. But the suitors that were coming at him down the stretch. This is someone who was silently committed to Tech pretty much from his last signing day, his official visit on that last weekend in June up until his birthday, the day he committed. when Oklahoma kind of muddied those waters in that last week. So that whole time, silently committed to Virginia Tech. Obviously, Oklahoma, and then the Franklin news comes out. They get him on campus, and they flip him. I mean, but a top priority, Ole Miss is coming after him super hard with Lane. Had a bunch of – I mean, that's someone on the defensive line, I think, because you don't know how you're going to backfill that room. Like, I think we're going to get into a draft talking about who you want to come back with, but who's going to be on that defensive line. You don't know your personnel. That's someone but at the cornerback position – Polydor, you got on his film, talking to coaches up in that area. I mean, that's someone who is a lockdown corner. And then also someone I've seen live, Xavier Cleveland. And, there was tense moments there when he went to officially visit West Virginia. Got pretty tense there.
James talked about it, and it sounded like he aired that out in the press conference, which I was actually kind of surprised about. But,
and that was tame. There were some very tense moments there.
Oh.
But, I mean, Xavier Cleveland, 6'4" basketball player, his just length and range. I mean, I saw him live. I think the last time I saw him live on the football field was June 7-on-7 circuit. But when you watch him play basketball, his fluidity, I mean, he did it both ways in 7-on-7, but he's just so rangy. And obviously he's not going up against Division I wide receivers all the time. So his athleticism is going to win out, help him break up some passes at that level, but you can see the traits. He also, I mean, this is short of shifting it forward, but he's got a 2028 brother who's also a really, really good defensive lineman down there at Green Run. So, I mean, keeping that pipeline open. But, yeah, I think those two cornerbacks, Fat Rat Brown at wide receiver, who knows how that room's going to shake out. But, I mean, he was on varsity for 4 years at Trinity Episcopal. I mean, yards after the catch, machine, hard to cover.
His name's Fat Rat.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you, something that's funny about this Green Run pipeline, we haven't seen it totally play out on the field yet. We're hoping next year's the year that happens.
Yeah.
Green Run High School in Virginia Beach is 2 different subdivisions, and that's it. And it's just nestled in between the interstates in Virginia Beach. Yeah. Lansdowne High School is a mile down the road. All of these guys are from 2 neighborhoods. Yeah, it's a pretty tight, small area that all these kids are coming from.
Well, and Cleveland transferred from Lansdowne to go play at Green Run. A really good 28 linebacker, Corvin Watson, who was at Granby, now at Green Run. They are just a powerhouse. Now, it's not a natural hotbed, but, I mean, they've really built that program into kind of pulling a lot of really great guys from the beach. Zeke Chinwicki, a guy who Virginia Tech brought up last year, he was at Ocean Lakes. And they brought him over there for his senior season. So,
and you did the Harbaugh sleepover with the other kid, Cameron Johnson. I'm joking, but you were there at his house, when he committed, and did an interview, right?
Yeah, I forget. Yeah, that was when it was sometime this summer. But
it was over the summer.
Yeah, I forgot. I mean, Cam Johnson, to keep him in the class at that edge position. I mean, him, Zay. Is there someone? Oh, obviously Thomas Wilder to get those 3 and to get him back in the mix. And that's not, like I said, you're going to have battles with Maryland. I mean, there before the Franklin news and everything, it was about T's and I's dotted to go to Maryland. I mean, but that's a situation where Virginia Tech kept doing the right things, continually kept doing the right things. So, yeah.
And the other guys that are from Green Run, if people aren't aware, it's Knowledge Herald, JoJo Krim, Brody Adams. These, and there there's a couple more too, I bet. But that's a great pipeline to have, and hopefully that program keeps rolling and sending them our way. You already talked a little bit about guys who you thought were underrated. You mentioned T-Ron, maybe Polydor. Is there anyone else that might be underrated in the class?
Let's see.
In your opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, because we respect 247's ratings, of course, but if you think there's a guy that maybe has outplayed his rating a little bit.
I mean, the one that jumps out is definitely T-Ron Richardson, that 87 grade. I mean, I think he's every bit of a 4-star caliber defensive lineman. Who else would be underrated, in my opinion? I guess it'd have to be –
Oh, talking about Lama too.
Yeah, Lama right there at 87, the linebacker. I think those two guys at 87.
I don't know much about Pierce Peterson. Can you tell us anything about this kid?
Yeah, so Peterson, he's a high school quarterback. So he played quarterback, but I mean, really great athlete. And, I feel like I even overlook him in a lot of these breakdowns I've been doing. He look at his offer sheet as well. I mean,
it's long.
And when you get evaluated at that position by James Franklin and you see the guys he's brought in, I know people want to keep pointing to Luke Reynolds and like, oh, maybe he hasn't lived up to the 5-star tag, but Tyler Warren, another guy who played quarterback in high school, and then look at what he did. I mean, he has all the traits and the frame to be able to build into that power 2 level tight end, because when you do play quarterback at the high school level, it takes a little bit to go chip a 245, 250 edge guy, It's like you're not going to come in there at, I don't even know what they have him listed at, maybe 210, 195.
195, yep. 6'5", 195.
You're obviously going to have to put on quite a bit of weight, but he has someone where, speed markers and different athletic traits that you like. And I think he's a really good guy, can catch the ball, good catch radius, wingspan. But yeah.
We have to talk about – go ahead, Sam.
No, he's also the number 2 player in the state from Minnesota, and that's a program at Minnesota that's done a really good job of keeping guys in the state. They have number 1, number 3, and number 4 out of the state of Minnesota all committed to the Gophers, and they've gotten pretty much every 4 or 5-star recruit that's come out of that state has ended up at Minnesota. That's been part of PJ Fleck's success. So to get him in the boat, not rowing the boat, but get him in the boat in Blacksburg, that's a pretty, again, I say this word, that's kind of an unprecedented win for Virginia Tech.
And he had a pretty powerful moment there. I know it wasn't live streamed this year, the draft spectacular with the coaching staff and the recruits, but I mean, that's a long way that, you're sending your kid off. And I think that's what shows, to touch on the first question about what was the most impressive thing of the last 2 weeks was how important that relationship was, that they were not like his parents were distraught. Obviously he's going to go play college football. It's a great opportunity and everything, but that's a long way to send your kid. But the assurance that they felt with James Franklin to send him there, and how abundantly clear they made that on the call, even getting a little choked up. I thought that was pretty impressive to show, look, there's obviously an NIL factor to all of this. There's playing time and whatever, but it is still a relationship deal at the end of the day. And he's built trust with a lot of these families.
And we've heard more than one story like that about how much there is these relationships between James or a staff member and the parents and the players. And it is quite impressive. And it does harken back to the Pry signing days. We saw so many of those, clearly there's a connection that's been made between the parents and Coach Pry and whatnot. And we saw that on signing day and some of the ones that we were able to watch. But that's really cool. And another guy that's coming from really far away is the quarterback in this class, Troy Hoon. He's coming from California. This is a guy who was rumored to commit for basically ever since Franklin got to campus. But this is an interesting one because it is a California quarterback coming all the way to Blacksburg. What are your thoughts on Hoon?
I mean, it's Franklin's guy. That was his guy from the jump, Elite 11 guy. Pro style, 6'4.5". I mean, probably 6'4", 6'4.5". Can throw the ball around the yard. Has shown the ability to layer throws. Had a good senior season, which is always good when you're looking at a quarterback. Because those rankings start so early, where you can look at a guy and then you start to see their rankings start to fall or slide. But I thought he had a pretty solid senior year, all things considered. Not the most mobile, but has pretty good speed markers. Probably could project into that 4.6 range. I think Franklin said he ran a 4.75 at a Penn State camp or something. But I mean, that's still a pretty good speed marker there. Hasn't really.
I'm sorry, Kolby. I didn't mean.
No, you're good.
We had a question from a person in our YouTube comments, Carolyn Miller. She was asking about the position allowances in this class.
Yeah.
So you mentioned at the beginning, we covered a lot of bases. Were there any areas where we maybe missed? I mean, you talked about maybe we tried to drop a bag and it didn't work. Was there an area in the roster where there might be a hole because we couldn't get someone?
Yeah, so if you're taking the one quarterback, that is what it is. Mickens at running back, I think you're okay. Linebacker, you did a pretty good job. Obviously, offensive line, you did well. I know you took the 2 defensive linemen in Tyron and Witherington, which is good. I think people want to look to the Jackson Ford. One more edge, like a true pass rusher coming off the edge. I was having this conversation with someone who was the last true homegrown Virginia Tech edge rusher that was a real difference maker.
Oh man, was it Kenna Canham? Like I'm trying to think. Yeah,
That's kind of who they went back to in 2016.
Yeah, 2016.
So I mean, you're getting close to a decade. Like you had the APRs, but look, that was another guy who was from Indian River and then had to come back. So it's I think Tyson Harley is an incredible get, but when you look at those really valuable positions like the NFL, offensive tackle, edge rusher, quarterback, those really, kind of game. Like an edge can be a game changer, and a tackle is sort of what you want to be steady. But like those really game-changing, important positions, I think for me personally, just one more edge rusher. I know you have Cam Johnson, but one more edge rusher and maybe a defensive lineman. That's probably where I would have gone. I know people, when you lose Sig at safety, it is what it is. You backfill with Terrell Grant. You still have some guys on the roster, and I think it's a lot easier to find a guy like that from the portal than a true top flight edge rusher,
Yeah. I do think the most important thing they could have covered was the offensive line. And
oh yeah,
James Franklin mentioned that in the press conference of how when he got to Penn State, there were no offensive linemen. And he learned from that, and he added a ton in this class. So that's really cool. Sam, go ahead.
With Sark at Texas,
sorry.
Because that's what Sam was talking about. If you want to draw even watching interviews from Sark, that was his biggest thing. Like when he got to Texas, and I think that first year they went 5-7, he was like, we barely had a second team offensive line to go against, on scout team. He was like, we barely had enough guys to even make it competitive. Like
to be fair, they barely have a second team offensive line this season. So that's one of their issues.
That's kind of the flattening of the sport a little bit. But when you think about a West Virginia that just brought in 45, I think, guys from high school, because these are still guys where it's like you're gonna have to practice against someone else. And no offense, it's a lot. Like you'll get better against one another as a freshman, but if you're iron sharpening iron as two guys who just got there, it's a whole lot different as opposed to going up against now in this age, a 6-year defensive lineman. His frame is going to be a lot different than you who's just coming out of high school algebra class 2 weeks ago. So,
and with 7 offensive linemen in the class, I think Robert said this on Monday when we were talking about it. There's going to be attrition. Like it's inevitable. Like you're going to lose, but can you get 40% of these guys to be contributors? Yeah. And if you can, that's why you have to play the numbers game.
That's why you take as many. And that's why they got in such a bad spot when you took 5 over 2 cycles.
Yeah, you can't do that.
You know what's going to cycle, who's going to pan out, who's going to process out, and you only took 5 over 2 cycles. Wow. And then you lose, you're probably arguably 2 best guys to the portal, and you're sitting there in the position you are. So yeah, it was absolutely paramount, and to get close to 7 guys, and and let alone 7 really quality guys. Thomas Wilder, Marlon Bright, these guys, very quality guys.
High quality offensive lineman prospects for sure. We're going to move to the staff and current roster in just one second. I want to tell you guys that Two Deep Hokies Under the Influence is brought to you by Jack and Coke. You guys hear me talk about it every week. 2 legends, 1 can, Jack and Coke. That's right. 2 legends, 1 can, Jack and Coke. I'm repeating myself because I don't have my papers in front of me. The #1 cocktail in the world is now available in a can. It's true. Jack Daniel's Tennessee whiskey mixed with Coca-Cola or Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is now available in a can at your local grocery and convenience store. You can get Jack and Vanilla, Jack and Cherry, and the original Jack and Coke all in one mix pack. They're delicious. Sam, are you sporting the product?
Hell yeah.
Show us that beautiful can.
Pretty good. Let's take the koozie off. This is the old Sons of Saturday koozie. This thing's been through it.
I got the newbie. This is our other sponsor, but we won't mention them during this ad read. That's a beautiful Jack and Coke. You can also see it right on your screen. They are perfect. You don't have to mix it. They're not too strong. They're not too weak. And they hit every time. No, you don't need 2 things. You don't need a 2-liter bottle. You don't need the Jack glass bottle, the tailgate. Throw them in the cooler. You're ready to go. 2 legends, 1 can, Jack and Coke. And when you're having those Jack and Cokes, please drink responsibly. And Kolby, this is your first episode with us where you're actually old enough to drink.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
we can openly talk about you having alcohol here and there. He is studying for finals, so we're not hammering him on not having anything to drink tonight. Me and Sam will talk about our beers a little bit later. Sam, why don't you handle the next couple questions here?
Yeah. Do we want to go into the listener questions?
Well, do the Penn State one, and then you had something about the OC, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can. That's probably a good one that we haven't really covered this topic at all. You know, these guys are committing to coaches and people first, right? Well, we know we have one coach signed on. We're not so sure about the other ones. And for me, these high profile guys, when you're talking about Michigan, Oklahoma, other of these massive programs, they're not going to commit when they don't know, hey, who's my offensive coordinator going to be?
Yeah.
Who's my quarterback coach going to be? Nothing has been officially announced, and we're not asking you to drop any names that you may or may not know. But is there a feeling that they know? Like there's a guy whose nameplate might be on an office here pretty soon.
Yeah, I think part of it, like there's a lot of confidence. And then I think a lot of people have been monitoring the situation up in State College and knowing that if that certain search goes a different way, some things that have been written in pencil could be erased pretty quickly. I think some things are starting to line up more in permanent ink. And there's some guys that you have to feel pretty good about no matter however some things shake out. But at the end of the day, if, Penn State decides to hire an incumbent or some other people, that could muddy the waters for Virginia Tech. Now, on the other hand, what you tell, and I know people are going to run with the clips of like what recruits are saying. And yes, they are being given, hey, this is what's going to happen. But you know what? A lot of recruiting is not lying, but pitching to your best guess or best idea of what's going to happen. Like, hey, this is the guy I'm going to bring in. Like, this is what we're trying to work to happen. And it doesn't always come to fruition that way. So while, you can, like I said, it's not just pulling something out of thin air. Like that's what you're trying to make happen. Sometimes it doesn't always play out that way. So I think obviously you'll see definitely some movement from Penn State to Virginia Tech, especially on the latest reporting here on Thursday night with the direction it looks like Penn State is going to follow. So I think you'll definitely see some of those guys from that staff trickle down, and we'll see where else. I think a very interesting thing to watch on the offensive side of the ball is the growing trend in college football of taking an OC and their quarterback. Obviously, Utah out getting Devon Dampier and his name slipping, but Arbuckle and Mateer at Oklahoma, and you've seen that sort of start to happen a lot. So I've heard some rumors there with JDB down at ECU, and obviously they have Hauser there. I've heard more about David Baker, the OC, than the quarterbacks. And I think the quarterback market, you can have a signed, sealed, delivered deal with an agent today, and a program could come open and it changes. So that's like one of the most requested questions ever is like, what quarterback is Virginia Tech or any program going to get right now? I think if anyone speaks indefinite on any team right now, they have no idea, because that market is going to be bananas this year. Absolutely crazy. There's only a couple teams that aren't going to be in the market for a portal quarterback.
We had our current coach on the sidelines of a game at ODU, and it brought up the questions about the quarterback there, and more importantly, the OC there. That's something Sam has been mentioned multiple times on this. So what are your thoughts on the Ronnie thing?
Ronnie's definitely been brought up. I went to his press conference, obviously, the other day when that clip went viral of him sort of spinning for 4 minutes like coaches typically do when get pressed with not a denial, right?
Yes, it wasn't a denial.
Look, I love it here. I can walk to work. Like, look, man, we believe you.
The lady doth protest too much, me.
Yes.
As Shakespeare once said. Yeah.
So, I don't know. Like, based on just some of the stuff I'm hearing down there, I don't think Ronnie moves on from Old Dominion. I don't think he will be the offensive coordinator at Virginia Tech. Now, do I think James Franklin went down to that game just for fun? No. I know he said it was obviously too. And honestly, this is another thing. You kind of have an embarrassment of riches on his tree that he has when you look at, like, coming from Pry in different situations. When you look at, oh, this guy was hired to be a head coach. This guy was hired to go be running back coach at Michigan or wherever. And it's pretty crazy to see, like, the way that's folded out, that you can have, I know two G6 head coaches playing. And it's like, I sort of brought these guys in and developed them. So I know there's been maybe some people who want to hold burn down the Kotelnicki experiment and some different hires. But overall, I think a pretty solid track record. Just Kevin Decker coming to the mix, obviously the OC at Old Dominion. I'm not so sure. That smoke got hot there for a second, but I'm not so sure that's the direction they want to go.
Yeah, I haven't heard much about it as of late.
Yeah.
It's been mostly about the guy down at ECU.
Yeah.
Colton Joseph entered the transfer portal pretty
Yeah, I
recently.
mean, that was
Yesterday, day before. That was to be expected, right? And I think anytime you have a mid-major program go 9-3 with good quarterback play, guys are going to move on.
Creating a
whether
power
they move on, whether they
road.
move on. Well, I mean, who I think it's those conversations are going to be had. Like I think we all three feel pretty confident that James Franklin's floated the idea to some guys in Norfolk, whether formally or informally. Yeah. And I think we feel pretty good that he's probably reached out to 5 or 6 other of these coaches. It depends on who says yes, who else goes in there. This is an unprecedented, I use that word again, coaching carousel that we've seen and that continues to keep going.
Yeah.
Man, who knows at this point? I don't think
the one thing that's interesting about Ronnie staying at ODU is if he stays, how does Franklin feel about stealing his buddy's quarterback? Like that because
he just took his buddy's job. Like
he didn't take the job. The job was open. But you know who did kill his buddy's job was Ronnie killed Pry's job. That's for sure on the front and back end.
I'll say this to put it in perspective for people who maybe aren't as sicko like we are and know these salaries. Ricky Ronnie's salary as head coach at Old Dominion is less than $900,000, which was less than Tyler Bowen as a first-time offensive coordinator was making at Virginia Tech before Virginia Tech started this investment. Like the Virginia Tech could double to 150% increase his paycheck and give him less work overnight. That's the difference here. And Virginia Tech isn't the only school that can do that. A lot of other schools can. But just to put it in perspective, it's a different ball game here salary-wise. And that's going to be attractive for a lot of different coaches, both offensive coordinators and sitting head coaches at that level.
So in a minute, we're going to talk about the players who we want to keep. We're going to do a little snake-style draft for you guys. But this was a question from Ray Hodges on X. He asked about the OC and DC. We kind of touched on that. As for the old staff, are you hearing anything about guys who may be retained? I know there's a bunch of guys who were at the signing day ceremony. Do you think that indicates that they might be back?
Look, like I've been pretty solid on the reporting. Like a name to definitely watch at like the current on the field coaches. The only one that's really sticking out is Fontel Mines, and even as of recently, there's been some pushback on that a little bit, hearing conflicting signals like, we'll look out for everyone. But I would say out of everyone, I would keep an eye on Mines and then Jerron Guveo-Winslow in an off-the-field role. That's someone I can see sticking around. Out of the other,
he was one of the names that was at signing day from what I heard.
Well, yeah. And like also just telling you like what I'm visibly seeing with engagement and involvement in the day. And like that would sort of line up. But outside of that, going further down that list, I don't really see any of those on the field coaches sticking around.
Okay. We're going to need a lot of bodies in the transfer portal. This is from, this is just one from us. Okay. I thought this was another listener question. Do you think the Hokies allocated like their NIL budget for more for the portal, about even? Do you have any like insight on that?
Like compared to
the high school.
So it's definitely gonna vary. I mean, the portal, like you're gonna command a higher, like, because it's gonna vary. Are you a 5th-year senior and you have 1 year of eligibility left? Or are you a guy who has 3 years left and we're projecting you to slide into this role, but we like what you bring? So I think it's comparable, but for like the plug and play guys in the portal, they're obviously going to command a higher pay. And that's kind of the structure you want to have, until you play a college snap, how can you command that figure,
Mm-hmm.
Like you want to talk about rankings and how it used to be taboo. Now it's used as a bargaining chip. Hey, I'm the 20th player in Virginia. This is what I'm worth. This is what my agent saying I'm worth.
And On3 has a valuation on some of these.
Well, and that's a whole different.
Sure they do.
That's a whole different ball game.
But you're right. Like the amount of money that a portal player, like the portal, it should allocate. You should have more money for
exactly. Like, look. So for this example, Marlon Bright, or let's say a guy with a 77 PFF grade 1,000 career snaps. So like someone like that, like obviously he's going to command more money. So, but it's also a rare situation where, look, let's not be foolish here. He has a connection to Penn State. A lot of these guys that came from high school are going to come from Penn State. A lot of the transfer portal just based on prior relationships and their affinity for James Franklin, wanting a new situation, whatever it is, they're going to come from Penn State, right? So you're like in those situations, it's not going to be a crazy discount. But let's say you get between Virginia Tech with the coach that you're familiar with and an Auburn, and Auburn's offering $75,000 more. Maybe you'd be willing to take that discount to go play for someone coming down from Penn State. But no, like the portal is going to command more money overall, especially not the biggest class, 23 guys. I think 22 is technically signed right now. It's not like a 45-person class or anything crazy, but I think the transfer portals class is probably going to command more than 23 people. So I think that will end up being more.
I got you. All right, let's do our player draft here, fellas. This is going to be fun. So someone did ask us which players we'd like to keep on the roster. I took a look, and there's a lot of talented guys on this roster. Sam and I both thought the season would go a lot better based on some of the talent we had on hand. It didn't, and I thought some of that was due to the coaches. So I'm looking down the list. Thought it'd be fun to have a draft. I'm going to give Kolby first pick. This is snake draft, so he'll go first, then Sam, and then I'll get 2 picks. Go ahead, Kolby. Who are you taking from our roster? Number 1 guy you want to bring back next year?
You guys floated this morning. It's been a little bit of a hectic day, but we pulled it together. We got on the show. So I don't have my full draft board out in front of me, but if you're going to give me the first pick, I'm going to go third team, all ACC defensive lineman, Kamari Copeland, someone, a premium position on the defensive line. That's a hard position to go recruit through the transfer portal. Someone who's obviously shown the ability coming off the torn tricep to be an all-conference type player, knows the place, leader. I'm taking Kamari Copeland.
Very nice. Sam, what do you got? Number 2 pick. Oh, you got mute button. You're muted.
Sorry, we got a little party happening outside the podcast room, and it's not totally soundproof, but I'm going with somebody who has a lot of years of eligibility left, high-profile recruit, showing some big flashes. Give me Jeff in the backfield running the ball. Blank check. Like, he is, I think, one of 3 players with Kamari Copeland as well who you say blank check.
Yeah,
I'm going to start counting zeros. You tell me when to stop.
Jeff was 1 or 2 for me, and I couldn't decide, so I'm glad I don't have to. Jeff Overton is – I don't know if he's as good as Marcellus Hawkins is right now, but he's really darn good, and he's got a lot of years left. So great pick.
I think the most impressive thing, and I know it's been brought up a lot, I don't think it's been brought up enough. This guy tore his ACL in bowl prep. He still is just getting back to practice. It's not like an injury where he had all spring ball and summer to he's pretty much shaking off his rust in games and popped a 40 or 30 plus yard run against Miami.
One of the best run defenses. Yeah.
2 guys who are probably going to be top 10 lottery picks on the edge. Great. Yeah. Insane. He's every bit of a stud.
All right. So for number 3 pick, this one, it kind of becomes a little easier for me. I'm taking Noah Chambers. He's come on as a freshman and just been absolutely ridiculous. He looks like he's got a senior body already, and he's made a ton of plays in a short period of time. So Noah Chambers is number 3. Now I've got to go again. We're doing snake, and this makes it a little bit more tough. I'm tempted to go with a lineman because we want to keep some of our best linemen. Now, you stole Kamari from me, but Emmett Laws and Christian Evans are sitting there, and I kind of want to take a big boy. I'm going to take Christian Evans. I know that's a little bit maybe more of a sleeper, but I had 2 picks in a row. I like the Christian Evans pick. He came in immediately. He got some playing time. He's big frame. There are a lot of more flashy, more experienced players that I could have taken. I want to build from the middle, so I'm taking Christian Evans.
I don't hate that. I don't. I'm going to go with a guy at the linebacker position who I think has gotten better and better as the games have gone on. Last year, he flashed. This year, it was time and time again. I thought he was the best defensive player Virginia Tech had for much of the season. Caleb Spencer.
Nice.
Cool. I like that pick. As you can hear,
Spencer's
I'm marking him
He's
off.
for me.
He was on
Yeah,
some
for me,
people's
he's
list.
the third blank check player.
Yeah.
Like I think there are other guys, and we're going to talk about the wide receiver room where, like, the production wasn't really there, and the traits are also like somewhat common in modern football. Like a lot of guys are fast and can catch the football.
Yeah.
Not a lot of guys can play defense with the attitude and aggression that Caleb Spencer has. And with another year of coaching and playing under, a system and being a linebacker, finally just sticking to one position, I think that guy's gonna be a stud.
Yeah, the only reason I didn't pick Spencer because he has been one of the few guys this year that is still out there producing every week, and I really appreciated that about him. It's because of the 1 year left. I know this isn't a keeper league or anything, but I'm trying to project out. I want to keep guys in the program that have a future. So, but yeah, Spencer, great pick, Sam. Go ahead, Kolby.
So I get 2 here.
Yeah, you get 2.
Okay. This is tough, man. So I think I'm going to stick on the lines, but I'm going to go offense. I'm going to take Kyle Altuner as centerpiece of offensive line.
Nice pick.
You brought on some tackles, but someone who still has a couple years of eligibility, has shown some flashes. I know definitely made some redshirt freshman mistakes, but I he was a top 247 or 4-star guy. Has a lot of those, I think, traits to be able to continue to develop. And they're a really good player, and keeping the center, the guy who sort of calls the shots there, I think can be good for some continuity.
Nice. So
Next,
you get to go again.
Next, I think I'm going to take a skill guy here. Banged up in the UVA game, didn't get to see him. But, Aiden Green. He's someone who, honestly, this year was not really – I think it's pretty obvious wasn't given the opportunities to probably showcase his abilities just with the way, the offense was humming. Based on the suitors that have been and are heavily after him, I think there's people on the open market that value and see his ability to thrive in an offense that is more conducive throwing the football. So I'm going to take Aiden Green.
Yeah.
Okay, Sam,
he has special flash ability. You saw it, like the catch he had against Miami was it's just unreal ball tracking abilities, and he has gotten better and better. I'm going to go with somebody who I thought really showed high levels of, and I believe he has a year left, another 1-year guy, but high levels of character. And I thought he also had high levels of defensive play. Tyson Flowers. I think he has 1 year left.
He does.
Yeah.
And I don't think he was particularly good in pass coverage this year, but I do think he showed you a lot. And I think you need to build your program around some veteran guys like that. I think for too long, Virginia Tech has had this void of leadership and identity. And who was the last player for Virginia Tech who not only had the character and charisma of a leader and face of the program, but also backed it up on the field? Dax.
Yeah.
And then who else, man?
APR.
APR, yeah, for 1 year. We haven't had it a lot. APR is a good one, but not
I know
many.
what you mean, Sam. It's been
it's
few
tough.
and far between.
He's a guy who, look, I don't think he's I don't think he's a first team all ACC safety. I don't think he's an NFL guy at safety, but you can put him back there and you're going to feel pretty good about it. You can take him to media day and you're going to feel pretty good about it. You can have him host some recruits and feel pretty good about it. That's a valuable guy to have.
Yeah, he's an amazing
program.
Yeah, he's an amazing guy. I had an interview with him over the summer. You honestly cannot say just enough upstanding things about Tyson Flowers.
And he's the one that Josh Pate quote tweeted your video.
Yeah.
And said, this is the kind of guy you want on your football team. Something
exactly.
And that was pretty cool. And that interview was great. Okay, so I got 2 picks here. I'll go then Sam and Kolby, and we'll close this draft.
Cool.
Marcellus Hawkins is my pick here because you're getting so much value at this stage in the game. We know that he's really good. He's got another year left. If we're already bringing Jeff back, Get me another guy in that backfield. This is an easy one. Would have gone sooner maybe if he had 2 years instead of 1. So I will take Marcellus Hawkins with my first pick. And now I'm trying to pick a defender here, a secondary player, and there is so many to choose from. And I'm not going to say all the names because I want you guys to talk about your own guys, but I will pick one of the 4, maybe 5 guys in the secondary that I would love to have back. I'll go with Knowledge. I will take Knowledge Harrell. This was a close call, but from camp, was he an early enrollee, Kolby?
Yeah, Knowledge got there.
Yeah, yeah. Because as soon as he got here, they were talking about him. And Green Run kid, pipeline kid. Let's keep it going. Bring Knowledge back. He's my last pick of this short draft that we're doing. Sam, you're up.
Yeah, that's pipeline is an interesting word because I think that pipeline only works if you can show proof of concept. And there's a guy who Virginia Tech needs to play on the field and be good. Like you need it to happen, right? You have no other option. I mean, right now, I'm sorry, there's more NIL ads than there are snaps on the football field. We need snaps on the football field. We need Keelan Brody Adams to actually get out on the field and play football because we've seen one play against Minnesota and he looked really fast. I would love to see this kid absolutely tear it up next year. I want it to happen. I'm rooting for it to happen. I think this year, honestly, like was pretty shitty with the injuries for him. Like I think it kept happening.
That play against Minnesota was on the hurt knee that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Right.
Like this is one of those players who's been battling for about 18 months. And if he gets healthy, it's basically like adding a 4-star recruit to your roster, like a brand new recruit to your roster, because you have zero production from him.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. And
I'm ready for it.
They're like I said, and like the pipeline, it only works when you get sent guys and they pan out. Like there is the unrest because like you can see all the potential, and obviously you're not making that up. Like people aren't just saying that, but like you said, it's going to be 3rd year going into the program, and you played last year's UVA game with real snaps, and then you really only saw actual touches in the bowl game, and then hurt all again. So that's a really big one because it's still going to have multiple years of eligibility and a couple years in the program. Okay, so I'm sitting at Copeland, Altuner, AG. I'm also probably going to go with the secondary player. Am I the last pick?
Yeah, you're the last pick.
Okay, so
we'll talk about more guys after you're done.
Yeah, because I'm sort of, just off the top of my head, I think I'm sort of between Sheldon Robinson and Josh Clark. Josh Clark's a guy to like Brody coming off that knee deal. I don't think people know how good Josh Clark is.
Josh Clark is one of the very few I was choosing between when it came to those secondary guys. The secondary's loaded, dude. There's a lot of talent.
I'm going Josh Clark, so I'm going to have a wide receiver, DB, D-line, and offensive lineman because I think Josh Clark, if he didn't get hurt this spring, the secondary got really young, really fast, and you saw a lot of that.
I mean, that unit was, to put it nicely, the worst passing defense I've ever seen at Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Like that's the nicest way I can
statistically it just was. I mean, it's a fact that we were banged up. We had attrition issues.
Johnson hit the portal. Caleb Brown got hurt for the year.
Reddish didn't play.
Yeah, I was about to say Reddish at safety got hurt. It was obviously Clark got hurt before the year, and he was going to
be a starter.
He was exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like he was going to slot into that starting position. And it's a shame because, like, you say the same thing with him as you do with Brody. Like, two of those guys you could realistically project to start and just –
Dude, we can keep going. Who was I forget his darn name. The kid from New Mexico who broke up the pass against NC State. Quit the next week.
Portal.
Like, all right, go on.
Transfer to UVA.
That was unfortunate.
Yeah, that sucks. And you also had, JoJo Krim got hurt. He was a guy who was making plays.
Yeah, JoJo missed the last couple games.
JoJo Krim, Jordan Bass was on my list. Like he has another year. Like, and he showed us something. Jamari Deloach.
Yeah.
Deloach played well.
I was between Clark, Deloach, Knowledge, and JoJo for my secondary pick because there is a lot of talent back there. And Thomas Williams, he was battling through some injuries too. I know he had some tough spots here and there, but Thomas Williams broke up a lot of passes this year.
Yeah.
I mean, Virginia Tech was basic, and I don't want to like call anybody out, but Virginia Tech pretty much was playing with a like what would be the equivalent of like an FCS secondary for most of the season, like experience talent wise. It's just not. It was not going to go well. There are some dudes that,
And honestly, like some of that, if we're just calling it, kind of falls on some of the coaching, because you had Dorian and Mansour in there last year, and did you really maximize Mansour when you see what he went down and did at LSU under Baker and them? You had those two guys, which were obviously you want them on the field most of the time. Did you build sustainable depth behind them in spots that you could have? Did you develop those guys the way you could have? And then when you got raw talent this year, did you really develop them the way, like, to that level?
Yeah, I also think it's pretty obvious the too high safety, 3 safety at a time, nickelback defense didn't work. What the Jimmies and Joes,
there was a lot of reasons for that, but
the X's and O's did not. There were some wide open wide receivers from week 1 to week 14.
I wanted to mention a couple guys, one of which when I was looking at the receivers, Aiden Green got taken, Brody got taken. 2 of the guys I thought would absolutely potentially go. Chans and Snook Peterkin were other guys that, were also on the list. And we saw Snook. I know he had a couple drops this year. He's a true freshman. He's light.
Yeah.
He needs to put on some weight, but his potential is sky high. Like he has a ton of potential.
Snook's definitely a great player. It'll be interesting. Like he keeps telling me he's going to go hoop. So I mean, like I presume he's going to go over there. I mean, like, is he going to factor into the rotation in the thick of ACC play? I don't know, but I mean, another body in practice, especially as you get more dinged up, that doesn't hurt anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this was someone who, when you watch his high school tape on basketball, another guy like Zay Cleveland, when you talk about it, I mean, he scored like 40 in, I think, his state semifinal down there against
didn't he have 50 in a game at one point?
He might have had 50, but in the playoffs against another really quality team, I think he dropped like 40 something.
Damn, dude.
So, I mean, he's a really good athlete. He's only going to keep getting better and better. Obviously, the UVA game was, the scoring streak and so much was on the line there. It was like his first media appearance after, and it was funny seeing him come back. So, he was like, dude, I just got here. Like, I'm never talking to the media or anything.
He might be the answer to a trivia question one day. Who saved the Virginia Tech scoring streak against UVA?
Snook the Crook.
Peterkin.
Yeah.
So Benji, I just want to also shout out. Benji's got another year. Great leader. I think he was underutilized. Now, say whatever you want about his blocking or whatever. Like Benji, I would love to have Benji back.
I mean,
I really would.
He's a top flight tight end. Put the ball in his hand, can catch the ball. Like, yeah.
I'd put I want both of them back. I want Harrison back too. I thought Harrison was pretty good. I mean, because he was given a very, very tough job in this offense.
Yeah.
Like, he had to do a lot. And I think he performed really well. He was really reliable as a wide receiver. He was good as a blocker. I think if you bring back both of those guys at tight end with an offensive scheme that I think appreciates them, you're going to feel a lot better about that position.
We'd also like to bring back a few offensive linemen in addition to Kyle Altuner.
Yeah.
I respect Kolby for going after the line. I went after the D line, but like Laith Ganem has another year. Gavin Crawford was a highly touted guy. Lucas Austin.
I think Garrett should have another year. I don't know. Is he out?
Oh, Garrett? You think Garrett has another year too? I'm not sure. I don't quote me on any of this. But Haynes Hammer or Hannes Hammer, Tommy Ricard.
Yeah, Johnny's he's a redshirt junior.
Okay, sweet. Yeah. So we want these guys back because we don't want to run into a situation. I know offensive line, it's struggled for years, but you can't put a bunch of all these 6 new freshmen we can't put them out all on the field in year 1. We need some guys. We need some guys in the portal. So hopefully some of those guys decide to come back too. A couple of listener questions. We'll let Kolby go. This one is from Ryan Bloomfield. He said, a little OT, but curious about Kolby's background. How did he get his start and break into the recruiting industry?
Yeah, I saw this one. I don't know why. I mean, because last night it was – so we're filming this on Thursday. It's getting late now, but Wednesday night, obviously, like yesterday, is a grind of a day. So I was up late, and then I slept in for the first time, whatever, like not that late or whatever, but got some decent sleep. And I woke up, and for whatever reason, like my mentions were weird or however, because I saw like I was in a post, but I couldn't find – like your post wasn't showing up, but I was like added, and that was the first one that I saw. like when they started coming through.
Oh, Ryan's post. Oh, I got
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. So that was where, because like I knew I was coming on the show later, but it was like, what? Where was I? Because like the original. Anyway, that's besides the point. So getting into it, and it's funny because also late last night, Evan G. Watkins over at vtscoop.com, the man, the myth, the legend, like literally like right before like I went to bed, I shot him a text and was just like, dude, like what a, like I forget even what I said, but I was like, what a trip. Like I don't know why you took a chance on me, but like how, like look at where we are now, or like whatever, like look at this.
You got like a little emotional maybe in that
Yeah,
moment.
and even a little bit just like grateful because it's like
Yeah.
kind of crazy. Like I said, like how did I get into it? I came here to Virginia Tech. I finished high school with an associate's degree, and I got into a program here, and that was really why this was only an opportunity to come here across the state, and felt so blessed. Came in as business information technology student, did a full semester with that, but I had a ton of extra credits, and I've always loved, obviously sports, but specifically college football, and to be given the opportunity with the program and just honestly a lot of lucky stars and counselors and people looking after me, allowing me to take up that second degree in sports media and analytics, and not even really knowing what that meant, but just being like, okay, let's chase it while we can, and pick that up. And then pretty soon thereafter, just by really happenstance, dumb luck, got on the phone with Evan and said he was looking for someone pretty much just boots on the ground to cover Virginia Tech football, team specific really to start. And I was like, look, man, pretty genuine. Like I have no clips. Some people in high school called games or did whatever. I was like, look, I have no clips, but I love college football. And, selfishly, like or maybe not selfishly, but just like, I guess almost like ego, like no one's going to work harder than me. And I pretty much told him that. And it's gotten to this point where like I had no idea what I was doing when I showed up to my first practice or media availability or let alone press conference. And, I think pretty much everyone there probably understood that, but it is like a fake it till you make it. Like I still feel like I'm faking it now. Like I'm learning something new. If you think I have it all figured out, I certainly don't, but it's been like I feel so fortunate now to even have just been in like the situations, like going down to Doak Campbell a couple of weeks ago to cover a football game, and
it's pretty sweet, dude.
Being in the room for the draft cast and like the press conference the other day, like you're sitting in between Jimmy Sexton and Frank Beamer and all, it's just like it's a very crazy opportunity. And I just feel so fortunate by dumb happenstance. And then the recruiting was sort of just expanded off of that once you get into that. And then, obviously like I feel like it's a great thing because I'm from the same area as a lot of these players that Virginia Tech is targeting. So I can relate to them on that edge. I'm still also semi-close to them in age. So I like coming to their camps and stuff. I'm friends with siblings or someone that they know. So a lot of that is really just luck by happenstance and coincidence. And yeah, now we're just.
My wife typically asks me like, oh, what are you talking about tonight? And, I usually don't have a very good answer or whatever. Yeah. I was like, oh, we're having this signing day was yesterday. We're having a recruiting guy on. He's going to talk to us about it. I was like, he's still a student at Tech. She's like, still a student at Tech. And I'm like, yeah, his college experience, he's gotten a lot more out of it than I did because I was
dude, when I was thinking too, you saying like you feel out of it when you go to these, dude, when I was going to like a spring practice when I was in school covering for Key Play, I legitimately had no clue what I was doing. I was like wandering around Merriman until I found somebody, and I would ask them, be like, and I would almost like lie to them, be like, hey, did they switch where they're having the presser this week? Like it's not where it normally is, I don't think. And you do that, but then you are vastly more qualified than most people your age for this, vastly, and also much better at it. I can certainly say much better than I was at that age. That's for sure. Probably better than I am now, about a decade.
It's all about reps, man, and getting the reps in. One more question: what is the most exciting thing about following recruiting? And you can also follow it up with the most boring.
Oh yeah, that's a good.
It's from Pete McGee, by the way.
Well, and that was Ryan before. Ryan, appreciate that. The first question, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was cool. Appreciate it. And then Pete, the most exciting is, signing day, like late, like when it comes down to the deadline and you've built a relationship with someone over, and that's why it was tough this year a little bit, because a lot of these guys you didn't have that relationship with, because obviously I'm predominantly covering Virginia Tech. Now this summer, going a little bit more national, but predominantly covering Virginia Tech. A lot of these guys didn't have any prior history with them. So they didn't really even pop up on my radar. So it's a lot tougher to try and break in there late when, it's a late flipping situation. But like, even like in years past, when you've talked to someone for 2 years, covered the recruitments, gone to camp, seen them at games, met the family, the whole 9 yards, and then it's coming down the stretch. And, there's one that sticks out last signing day. Jamari DeLoach, the 4-star guy. Like, I mean, that'll probably always be one of my like fondest memories of, like the most exciting is where you're sitting there and you obviously know it's about to come. And like, you think about the state track final where, he pulls his hamstring, and like the lowest, like the time he ran the day before in the qualifier would have won the state championship. And then the next day you're there, and, it's like, it's all that comes back and you're talking, it's like, what's about to go down, and then you're sitting there and it's like the big time flip. I think that's so exciting, is where it's the relationship all the way up and then the big payoff at the end. And like, obviously the flip is the boom explosive. Like a commitment is always cool, or anything wherever, Virginia Tech or just elsewhere, just knowing, because like you're changing, like, well, obviously it doesn't really have an effect on me like as much, but like they're changing their lives forever and like putting themselves in a great opportunity. But that one really sticks out, where there was so much that went into it, and for months of back and forth, and then the signing day payoff. The most boring, the dead period, maybe like right now, where it's like you reach out and it's like, yeah, James Franklin's really cool. I think Virginia Tech's a lot better option now. Cool. You're going to come for a junior day? Yeah, I'll come in 3 months, or, like what?
Yeah.
But now the portal fills that time. Now the spring portal, that's going to be a real dead time in that spring zone, because you can't have anyone on campus till like the June time. So that's going to be a real dead time now that there's no spring portal window. So I'm sure that'll be, because the team's not going to be practicing. They're not going to be up there for summer, and there's going to be no recruiting. So maybe that is the new sort of downtime. The most boring part, I think that's what stands out. But I mean, definitely not around right now in season or over the summer, because summer camps, official visits. Yeah.
When you're sitting there waiting for them to commit too, and you're just trying to think like, I don't want to screw up these questions. Do I have the right question? If he changes his pick, does that change the question? That's gotta be like a tricky few moments too, and adds to like, the butterflies or whatever you're feeling.
Yeah, no, 100%. A delicate tightrope. And it's like, yeah. And that's where the relationships come in. Because, look, if you build up equity, people are definitely, well, you don't have to look at, I guess, James Franklin, 13 years of equity down the drain at a place. But typically, if you've built up a couple year relationship with someone, they'll give you a little bit more grace on if there's like, okay, man, as opposed to if it's your first interaction, you're like, what's going on?
Yeah. And did you know the thing about James Franklin, like asking how you're doing thing before you got any questions in with him?
I didn't. I mean, I was just, obviously I was in the first question. So
thank God for that.
By the time they got handed around, I understood. But I mean, I probably would have just said, "What's up, man?"
Yeah.
I'm Kolby.
Andy got thrown to the wolves on that one. But Kolby, we'll let you go on that. Now's your chance to plug what you got going on. Once more. I know we talked a little bit about the YouTube channel, but tell people what you got going on.
Yeah, I mean, first off, is this going to be on the Sons of Saturday channel?
Yes, it is.
Watch this video in its entirety. I'm sure these guys are going to have a great part on UVA, but go watch that Jay Pearson interview with Billy Ray did. It was a great interview on the channel. I know it's got a ton of great feedback, but if you missed it somehow and you're this deep watching me, go watch that. But you can find me probably Mondays and Wednesdays. We'll probably stay with that on Kolby's Corner on YouTube. Look up Kolby Crawford. You can look up that name on X. And if you're into Virginia Tech, college football recruiting, that's the best place to find it. So, yeah.
VT Scoop too. There's
VTScoop.com. How could I forget? 50% off right now. VTScoop.com.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, Kolby, we'll let you go. Go study for those finals, and we'll talk to you again soon. Okay, bud?
Thank you guys so much, man. Have a great night.
Later, bud.
See you, dude.
All right, Sam. Let's do a quick beer break, talk a little bit of UVA, and do this thing. I didn't want to keep Kolby for 90 minutes, but hey, that's what he did because he seemed like he was having fun.
I'll tell you too, it's like I didn't think when we were brainstorming what the schedule was going to look like for the rest of 2025, like we didn't even think about signing day. Like
No.
we knew it was happening and that this would probably be the signing day episode, but we weren't like we were going to talk about UVA and then the coaching search, and like signing day was just going to be like a wash because we didn't think we were going to have anybody. Boy, what boy, what a turn of events.
Meanwhile, it's, we lose to UVA. We put out College Football Monday, and I clipped, us talking about Franklin's recruits on Monday, and that was one of our most successful videos we've done ever. So it's just kind of crazy how things can switch and flip, and we've had so much content this year because of the coaching search and because of the firing and the hiring, and it's been wild, man. But let's talk a little bit about UVA. I've got voicemails. I know people who called in want to hear the voicemail, see who else called in. What can we really say? I said on Monday, like I called you before the game, a couple late scratches. You're not feeling good. I'm feeling like slightly better than you are. And then it kicks off. Bad play on the first one. We bring it out of the end zone. I don't know.
Let the voicemails roll.
Okay, let's do the voicemails.
For the last time in this godforsaken season, I'm calling into the reaction line. That was the absolute worst football performance I've ever seen Virginia Tech have.
On my way to Lane Stadium North, if we run the ball 60 times this game, I will double my donation.
I'm not having fun.
We're not having fun at all.
I want to go home.
We want to go home. I think we should get a new quarterback and a new coach.
Help.
It makes the Wake Forest 0-0 game look like a national championship caliber offense.
I know we got James Franklin. We're moving on to 2026. We have a good coach hire. We're excited about the next year, but seeing Kyron Drones go 4 for 16 with a QBR of 10.2. I mean, I just feel bad for the guy.
It was so ridiculously pathetic from not just our offensive output, the officiating, everything, you name it. It was just a above and beyond complete failure of preparation and execution. And more importantly, on the offensive side of the ball, the want to.
The rest of the team looks pretty lifeless too. Like, I would have expected us to move to Pop Watson. Who knows?
As soon as John Love missed the field goal, we could have cared less what happened. I'm so glad this staff is done and out. I don't want any of them back. I've never been so disappointed. James, you got some work to do, buddy, and I'm behind you.
On to 2026. The Franklin era is looking really bright, so go Hokies. We'll see what happens next.
Thank you guys for the voicemails. Our one dedicated caller, Nick, I believe he called, but the voicemail was like so quiet I couldn't hear anything. So that's why, if you're wondering why you're not in there, there was a voicemail I got that was barely audible. But otherwise, thank you so much. Mike's call, he was mad. Devin called us saying he hopes to see us run it 60 times. And all the people who call in multiple times this year, like, thank you, because it does make the show more entertaining to have these calls in here. It was pathetic. Like it was absolutely pathetic. I don't know if like the coaches gave up per se, but 27-7, an offense that like just didn't do a damn thing. I think there was 8 consecutive drives at one point, Sam, where I think we totaled 23 yards. That is 3 yards a drive, less than 3 yards a drive for 8 drives.
I mean, what do you, I'm not even going to bother with the advanced stats on this one. I saw them. You don't want to see them. Yeah. One of the worst offensive performances in Virginia Tech history. One of the worst seasons in Virginia Tech history. I think.
Definitely since 1987. We've only had like a couple bad seasons.
To see a coaching staff basically give up, that's tough. Like that for me is worse than losing the game.
Are you referring to the play calling or the choice to start Kyron? Like, what are you referring to?
Holistically, I just felt like I just felt like this game wasn't a game that we prepared for or cared about. This seems like what UVA has dealt with for 20 plus years.
Mike said want to, and that kind of is exactly sums it up. Like it just didn't seem like we had any kind of fire. And then on top of that, There was no trick plays. There was no creativity. Jeff Overton, he's one of the few that looked good. 53 yards on 11 carries. I mean, this is why he was number 2 in the draft, because
Yeah,
that
I
kid
mean,
is a monster.
dude,
And
there
Caleb
was
Spencer too. Like, he was out there doing some stuff. But
the
for the
lack
most
of
part,
the lack of creativity, the lack of ingenuity. I mean, dude, I think Phil Montgomery has been, for the most part, praised for how he has handled a really difficult season in a really difficult situation. But
definitely.
dude, the last few weeks, that was horseshit, dude. That's terrible. It was lazy coaching. It was lazy coaching. And I think it's a disservice to the guys who are on that roster practicing still. I think it's a disservice to the fans for sure. And it's not just, hey, you should start Pop over Kyron. Everybody knows that. Everybody in the world knows that. Why it didn't happen, your guess is as good as mine,
Worst
to be
game for
honest.
Kyron of his career. It was 4 of
I
16. It was the worst passer rating. It was the worst QBR.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing. We were sold an Art Briles-esque air raid, veer and shoot offense, whatever. And I said at the beginning of the season, that type of offense is like getting bangs for a haircut. You might look like Anne Hathaway in Devil Wears Prada, but you probably won't. And guess what? We didn't. We looked horrific.
I mean, the offense thing, it was weird because he had been more run heavy at Auburn, at his stop in the USFL, but you know what, man? It was a tough situation. I think he could be a good head coach. The offense was never right. Never right.
No.
And when they started to run it more, it got like slightly better. We haven't won a game since the Cal game.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
haven't scored touchdowns. Like
yeah.
I look at all these advanced numbers, like running the football, Virginia Tech is going to finish this season probably a top 10 rushing offense in the country
Yep.
across the board. Every metric you want to look at. It doesn't matter if you don't put the ball in the end zone. And I was preached all off season how we were working on situational football, how we were going to get better at the red zone. The red zone got worse.
Yeah.
They got worse in the red zone.
Because we moved the ball again in this
Yeah,
game. And
man,
especially in the beginning. There was a period of time where we didn't move the ball.
Yeah.
But the first 2 drives were like, okay, got nothing. And like Mike said, like once the field goal missed, it was done. Like it was
Yeah. I mean, also John Love has been very good for Virginia Tech. And if he comes back and kicks next year, will probably be very good. He had a bad end to the season.
He did have a bad end.
And I think Tech started to like almost like they were playing for, let's see if we can get him a 45 to 50 yard field goal try. And that was kind of the goal of every single offensive drive.
Yeah.
It was not pretty. I felt as a fan watching that game, I felt like the team was basically there to collect a check and move on. Like that's what it felt like for me.
I want to also
We looked awful.
Yeah, we looked so bad. And where Mike was coming from, because I know a lot of people just were like, bad game. And no one wants to lose to UVA, and that does make it burn worse. But we were able to shrug it off because of a new coach, because of the recruiting. Mike is like, he hates UVA with every fiber of his being. So seeing us just be lifeless, like it made him sick to his stomach, and it made me sick. I went out for the first half with my wife. We're watching it. It's not going well. Have a good burger and a good beer. I was like, let's just go home and watch the second half. It's 14-0. We're not completely out of it, although it kind of felt like we're out of it. And I'm just in the second half of the game, I'm laying on the couch like a zombie. Like I'm just like, this is downright no good, horrible. Like
I was visiting the future in-laws family. My future father-in-law is a 3rd generation UVA law grad. Former season ticket holder. I was in if I had to draw up my own personal hell, it was that situation. And it made me feel like I have never felt so dejected from Virginia Tech football than I did watching that game. I gonna be honest.
Well,
And it
worse
got,
than last year?
dude, it was so, I mean, like that and the Old Dominion game that
Yeah,
was
Old
Pry's
Dominion was
first
really
game
bad.
was
Oh,
probably
Price
the
first
two.
game.
Was probably the two. You know what came to my mind and what was going to be my cheers before James Franklin came in and saved the day?
What's that?
Job 30 verses 20 through 21. I cry out to you for help and you do not answer me. I stand and you only look at me. You have turned cruel to me. With the might of your hand, you persecute me.
Wow, getting biblical. I like it.
That's how bad I felt during that game.
Well, I shared my YouTube Wrapped with the group the other day because YouTube is now doing the same thing that Spotify is doing. They'll let you know like what you're watching the most. And this year for me on YouTube, number one, extinction events. And I can't help but think
Like the Pleistocene,
with
like
the
the
year,
Pleistocene impact.
yeah, exactly. With the year that Virginia Tech had, there must have been part of my subconscious that's just like, come for me, sweet death.
Oh man.
So that's where we're at over here. It was a stinker.
And now my soul is poured out within me. Days of affliction have taken hold of me. Another verse from Job for you kids who went to Sunday school. I don't think they teach Job in Sunday school, actually.
I don't really care for Job. Do you know that? Do you know that?
Oh, I was going to say neither did God, apparently. But
that's a line from Arrested Development. I never really cared much for Job.
I will say this. Like, I kind of gave up at halftime. Like, totally gave up. Because I told you when you called me before the game, I was like, dude, this is not going to go.
Yeah,
like, we don't have any bodies. Like, Tech didn't have any players. I kind of got over at halftime, drank some good drinks in Austin. I talked about that on College Football Monday. Some of the beers I had down there, but like, it's so on to next year and it's so in the past and it's going to suck watching them play in Charlotte. I think a really uncomfortable truth for Virginia Tech fans is since Virginia Tech was down there in Charlotte, UVA has been there twice.
It's so rough.
And like, even though Virginia
we think
Tech
of them as a joke, like we think of them as a joke at football.
I mean, they've reached up twice and Virginia Tech hasn't. Like both teams have been not great over that span. Tech has been a little bit better, but like they've reached up twice and Virginia Tech hasn't done that in quite some time.
This was the first 3-score victory for UVA over Tech since 1994. That's how long, like we've blown them out several times. They have not blown us out like they did last Saturday since 1994, Sam. That is 31 years ago.
I mean, the Lion King came out that year.
Right. It's oof. Anyway, all right, that's enough on UVA. Are you drinking something, man? Are you having fits? What are you having? Nothing.
We're doing.
You had the Jack and Coke.
So we're recording this late. So shout out to Kolby because Kolby not only like took time away from studying and stuff like that, but we also pushed this late because I had a work event tonight. So shout out Kolby and shout out to you, Pete, as always. We're doing the Jack and Coke. I had some whiskey at the event. I'm having some whiskey now. It's delicious. I do want to do I want to try some more local beers here in the New York area that aren't available down in Virginia. So if you have any that you know, please shoot me a DM, tweet them at me, tweet them at 2DeepVT, and I'll put them on the shopping list.
I put a video on the 2 Deep Instagram today. It was from Grim Brewing, which is in Brooklyn, where they take that hot, like molten hot ball and put it in the beer. It's called like, it's like a beer brulee, essentially. It has a name. And I shared that on there, but like that Grim Brewery is awesome. So hopefully you'll get a chance to get over there at some point.
Oh, it's in Williamsburg. Oh, it's in the other side of Williamsburg. We can get there eventually.
I'm having the Naked Elf. I talked about this on Monday. Trogue's Naked Elf. This was in the mix pack. So their Mad Elf is the more famous one. That's got the cherries in it. It's got a little bit more of like the chocolate malt. This one, they take that out. That's why they call it the naked elf, because they got rid of kind of the two sweet things, and it's literally just like a spiced Belgian ale for Christmas. And 8.2%, you get a little, it's like a malty Pilsner, but if anyone's had a winter Belgian, you know what I'm talking about. It has that little bit of spice to it. It is so good. Like you have one of those, you have a Christmas Belgian ale. Like this is what it should taste like. The Naked Elf from Trogs. Trogs always comes correct. Really, really enjoying this one tonight. I also want to tell you guys that 2 Deep Hokies Under the Influence is brought to you by Roback. You can use our code 2DeepVT to get 20% off your first order. You know Roback, the performance active wear designed for those who crave activity. I don't have to say much else. Use code 2DeepVT to get 20% off your order. We talked about our championship picks the other day, Sam, and you said something to the degree of the markets on these games are very efficient at this time of year.
Yeah.
But these lines are moving, man. Some of these lines have moved a lot.
Yeah, and that is more to do with the market pushing one side really hard and books trying to even out that liability on both sides, because you're going to have so much more money and so much more so many more volume of bets.
There's only 9
but also
games.
a volume of handle on these games. So books have to balance out that liability, or else they're going to have a pretty bad week. And also, I mean, DraftKings, I don't think wants to have a bad couple of weeks before year end and watch their stock plummet even more. So you're going to see a lot of that line movement here late in the year. I think there are some really interesting ones, like UVA Duke is so weird because we just saw those teams play a couple of weeks ago and UVA won by a gajillion. And everything on paper says those teams should be pretty even, yet we have the one example of UVA blowing out Duke. That will kind of throw off the difference between what your model predicts and what public perception says. So that's a kind of a tough one, whereas we haven't seen Indiana and Ohio State play this year. And when we saw Alabama and Georgia play, it was a pretty even game. So those are some
ACC,
weird things happening this
one of the
weekend.
ones that moved, because that started at 2.5 to UVA. Now it's 4 to UVA. The Ohio State line was 5.5. It has dropped to only -4 Ohio State. And so
that one's interesting.
Yeah, those are two of the movers, which I honestly, the Ohio State one I thought might go the other way.
Well, that's also, you could see a lot of people playing Indiana money line. So when they want to move that money line price down, they have to move the spread price down as well.
Got it.
And so that's what's going to bring that line down from 5.5 to 4. I think that's mostly because you have a lot of people going Indiana money line.
And then the other big swinger was the first one, or one of the first ones, Kennesaw State and Jacksonville. That was -1.5 Jacksonville. It swung the other way to -2.5 Kennesaw.
I think that makes more sense. I think Kennesaw State's
we both picked Kennesaw.
Team. Yeah.
I do.
Monday. I got them. They're on the card.
Okay. Troy and JMU, are you taking JMU to cover? Still on that?
I mean, I think pick your number for the Dukes, right?
I think so.
That's what it feels like.
I think so. I'm taking
in Harrisonburg, and it's going to be cold in Harrisonburg, man.
If you got value on it already, keep that value. And same thing with Kennesaw. Hopefully you got that value. North Texas at Tulane. Tulane 2.5-point underdogs. I'm on North Texas. I think. Are you on Tulane?
I'm on Tulane. I'm going Green Wave.
Okay.
Shout out to our friends from the Uptown Update.
Boise State. This line has increased a bit too. Boise State -4.5. Moved up at least 1 point. I'm still on UNLV.
I'm still on Boise, but let me check the weather. That game is Saturday night, right? Friday night. Okay, perfect. Let me go ahead and check that.
You get a more accurate weather forecast. BYU versus Texas Tech. This one came down a point, actually. 12.5 now. Texas Tech favored. I know which way you're going on that if it's moving that direction.
How do you feel about mid-30s and wet in Boise for the Nevada Las Vegas running Rebels?
I don't like that. But
you know who likes that?
Can they cover 4.5?
Okay, if I tell you the score ends up being 31-24 Boise.
Yeah, I'm fucked.
Yeah, that's
No, and you know what? What happened to UNLV? Remember 2 years ago, or I was just last year when they had Genty, like UNLV was challenging them and they went to that Smurf turf and it didn't go well. But I'm gonna hang with Dan Mullen. I'm gonna hang with him. All right. Texas Tech, I'm taking them. You're taking them. Miami against Western Michigan. We're both on Western here, -2.5. Georgia against Bama. This one's tough. This one hasn't moved as far as I can tell. Bama still +2.5.
Yeah, I think this is maybe the most toss-up of all of them, right? Like it
Which
feels like a
means
true
I'm taking the
50-50 game.
points.
Yeah, I think that's smart. I'm a terrible gambler though, so I'm going to take Georgia.
And I'm taking Indiana. And this one, what do you want on -4 to the Buckeyes?
Give me. I think the play in this one might be Indiana money line and then Ohio State alt spread, but give me the Hoosiers and the points. I don't want to root for Ohio State.
I know.
Oh, maybe actually, hold up. I've rooted for losing football teams my entire life, pretty much. Maybe I do want to root for Ohio State. Give me the Buckeyes. You know what? Give me the Buckeyes.
Okay. All right. And
Give me
you're
the
getting, I mean,
Buckeyes.
listen, you're getting more value than you were getting 2 days ago. So take those Bucks. All right. That's going to do it for the show. Thank you to Kolby. Thank you to Sam. This was fun. Signing day was fun. We've had a great week on the channel. Make sure you're checking out Billy Ray and Pat's stuff, the Hokie Hoops. All of that is in the feeds, in the channels. And until next time, when we'll be coming back to you on Monday. Go ahead, Sam.
We will have a Bowl Mania Pick'em group as well.
Okay.
So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, well, and keep your eyes on the pick'em because we got to see who takes home the prize here between Zach and Jerry doesn't know ball. Because I am interested. 9 games left in the regular season, of college football, and then we get bowls and playoffs. But it's been a fun season. Until next time, go Hokies.
Go Hokies.